کنفرانس در کنگره آمریکا. محکومیت نقض حقوق بشر و تروریسم و جنگ افروزی رژیم آخوندی. حمایت از مقاومت مردم ایران. سخنرانی اعضای مجلس نمایندگان از هر دو حزب و سخنان خانم مریم رجوی.
اعلام تشکیل گروه پارلمانی اشرف 3 به ابتکار نماینده لانس گودن. گروه پارلمانی اشرف 3 در کنگره 118 ایالات متحده ثبت و اجازه فعالیت دریافت کرد.
I'm so proud to announce the formation of the Ashraf 3 caucus here in the United States House of Representatives, and I'm proud to be a founding member. We are seeing growing support across the United States Congress for those members of the community of Ashraf 3 there in Albania. I am a strong supporter of their rights, of their fight for regime change back home in Iran. I am so proud of the time that I spent with many members of that community.
سخنرانی‌های اعضای کنگره آمریکا تام مککلینتاک جمهوری‌خواه از کالیفرنیا عضو کمیته قضایی، روبن گالگو دموکرات از آریزونا عضو کمیته قوای مسلح، براد شرمن دموکرات از کالیفرنیا عضو کمیته خارجی، مایک گارسیا جمهوری‌خواه از کالیفرنیا عضو کمیته اطلاعات، نیکول مالیوتاکیس جمهوری‌خواه از نیویورک عضو کمیته راه‌ها و روش‌ها، زو لافگرن دموکرات از کالیفرنیا عضو کمیته قضایی، ماریو دیازبالارت جمهوری‌خواه از فلوریدا رئیس زیر کمیته تأمین بودجه وزارت خارجه در کمیته تخصیص بودجه، رانی جکسون جمهوری‌خواه از تگزاس عضو کمیته روابط خارجی مجلس نمایندگان، یانگ کیم جمهوری‌خواه از کالیفرنیا عضو کمیته خارجی، پیت سشنز جمهوری‌خواه از تگزاس عضو کمیته نظارت بر امور دولت، دریک ون اوردن جمهوری‌خواه از ویسکانسین عضو کمیته زیرساخت‌ها، راندی وبر جمهوری‌خواه از تگزاس عضو کمیته انرژی، ریچ مککورمیک جمهوری‌خواه از جورجیا عضو کمیته خارجی، لانس گودن جمهوری‌خواه از تگزاس عضو کمیته قوای مسلح، دکتر فیروز دانشگری پروفسور جراح در دانشگاه کیس وسترن اوهایو، مینا انتظاری زندانی سیاسی در رژیم آخوندی و پارسا آریا، بهرنگ برهانی و حنانه امانپور.
خانم مریم رجوی: رژیم ایران تهدید مبرم صلح و امنیت منطقه و جهان است. دنیا به روشنی فریاد قیام کنندگان در سراسر ایران را شنید که با صدای بلند خواستار سرنگونی این رژیم شدند.
خامنه‌ای در محاصره یک جنبش سرنگون کننده آتش جنگ در خاورمیانه را برافروخت. سران رژیم باید به جرم جنایت علیه بشریت و جنگ افروزی محاکمه شوند.
بحران خاورمیانه یک راه حل و تنها یک راه حل دارد که اعمال قاطعیت در برابر فاشیسم دینی در ایران است. قطعنامه 100 کنگره آمریکا که از حمایت 241 نماینده از هر دو حزب برخوردار است، الگوی درخشانی برای این سیاست است.
Honorable representatives, dear friends of the Iranian people and resistance, I commend each and every one of you. This conference, which focuses on the religious fascism ruling Iran, is more urgent than ever before. The Iranian regime is an imminent threat to the regional and global peace and security. Last year, at this time, a vast uprising by the Iranian people took place in over 280 cities to overthrow the regime. The world clearly heard the protesters' calls across Iran, who loudly called for the overthrow of the regime. Cornered by a movement that seeks his regime's overthrow, Khamenei started a war in the Middle East. He's using this war to prevent the eruption of another major uprising. Since the start of this regional conflict 2 months ago, at least 225 prisoners have been executed in Iran. Supporters of the MEK and those who participated in protests are being executed one after another. The regime's leaders must be prosecuted for the crimes against humanity and warmongering. Last week, the Office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran in Berlin was the target of a terrorist attack. Therefore, the regime is at war against the Iranian people and the region and the world. 3 weeks after the start of the Middle East war, Khamenei, in a public speech, stated, "The war is not between Gaza and Israel. It is fight between good and evil." Good and evil is a code word that the regime used during Khomeini's 8-year war with Iraq in the 1980s. That war and all the regime's warmongering serve the same purpose, to prevent its overthrow. The regime's warmongering in the region and its opposition to peace are not new. After the 1993 peace agreement, the Iranian resistance congratulated the leaders of Israel-Palestine and the US, but the Mullah's regime was the main party that actively engaged in hostility to the peace process and tried to sabotage it, including, among others, by fueling extremism and activating proxy groups to cause division among the people of Palestine. What is new is that the regime had given a new dimension to its meddling by provoking this destructive war while facing the crisis of overthrow. Since the war began, the regime has opened 3 other fronts using its proxy groups: a war in international waters, the war in Iraq and Syria with numerous attacks on US forces, and the war in southern Lebanon. The regime actively sends weapons to southern Lebanon. Today, there are misunderstandings about this war, such as claims Khamenei and his allies had no prior knowledge about the war, or that the regime's warmongering in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and international waters are unrelated to the Middle East conflict, or that the crisis can be overcome without putting the focus on the Iranian regime or adopting a policy of firmness against it. But according to numerous evidence and documents, the head of the snake of war and terrorism lies in Tehran. If this regime was not in power in Tehran, the Israel-Palestine conflict would not have turned into such a horrifying nightmare. Instead, it could have moved on a peaceful path. For this reason, the Middle East crisis has one solution and only one solution: firm action against the religious fascism in Iran. House Resolution 100, supported by 241 representatives from both parties, is a shining example for such a policy. the initiatives by the US Congress and the approval of various laws to permanently block the regime's access to $6 billion released in the hostage deal or its measures to prevent the regime from selling oil are very effective and significant steps in this regard. It is crucial for the US House of Representatives and Senate to take the lead in implementing this decisive policy in the US and internationally. As a comprehensive solution, we propose the following actions. First, encourage the European Union and Canada to designate the IRGC as a terrorist organization and using all necessary tools to realize this. Second, by collaboration with European allies, activate the snapback mechanism in UN Security Council Resolution 2231 and re-implementing its resolutions regarding the regime's nuclear projects and imposing comprehensive sanctions. Third, recognize religious fascism in Iran as a global threat to peace and security and place it under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. And fourth, recognize the Iranian people's struggle to overthrow their regime and the US's rebellion against the terrorist IRGC. Thank you all very much.